taking the team total. I'm taking first quarter, first half, full game, taking it all. OU all the way. I lost so much money on OU.
Whoa, he has trouble with the snap, and the ball is free.
Cast all crazy. And they run through our ass like shit through a tin horn, man.
That is a disgusting act by Randy Moss.
What is up, and welcome to Not Another CFB pod. This is an exciting episode. We've got Beast Picks back here. Beast, we're going to talk some NFL today, man. How does that make you feel?
I'm just so excited as far as we have both college and NFL being back. We were so fired up last week just to have college back, and we bet on everything that we could. But now we got the NFL. It's a lot going on now. This is like we're finally hitting that stretch, you know.
I'm already. It's only week one, but doing both NFL and college this year already has me a little stressed out because I feel like I've already forgotten so many crazy games that we had over this weekend from Thursday all the way through. There's a game. We're recording this Monday night. There's a game going right now. So like just an insane weekend of sports, man.
Yeah, there was a ton of great games last weekend. Some games I think we expected to be better than other games. But, like Georgia and Oregon, I thought that would be a better game, but Oregon kind of sucked.
Goodness. I mean, maybe there really is something to it, man. When I was looking at that game, I was really worried about those results they had with Utah. Utah last year physically just beat the crap out of them and made them look bad. And that's literally Georgia just came into the exact same thing. So, I mean, I'm worried that the Pac-12 is just so soft. I mean, that's kind of something we already knew.
Yeah.
USC's offense looked awesome, but their defense was just kind of there. They did have 3 pick sixes, which was ridiculous, but Rice is so bad.
I'm curious to see if USC is going to kind of be able to maintain that, because we kind of said the whole time, we're like, they have all these tools, but are they going to be able to put it together? If there's a week where it doesn't mash, you wonder. But if they can keep that offense rolling like it was, it feels like the Pac-12 actually might be theirs to take right now.
Yeah,
it looks like
it looks open because you had both Utah and Oregon going down. Oregon just got smoked. I thought Utah, they had a good effort, but they just don't. And maybe they'll fix this by the end of the year. They're so well coached, but there was nothing like crazy exciting about them. They were just like a solid team. And Florida had an awesome game. So.
Yeah, it's hard to travel down to Florida. I mean, that's one of the toughest places to play down in the swamp. So it's like, I get that it was a tough matchup, but I definitely thought Utah was too good to drop that game. But it happens. That's what it is. That's what college football is so crazy for, you know?
Yeah. I had an idea. Both OU and Michigan State got kicked off this week. Obviously, that's our team. So I thought we could each do kind of a review of, each game. And then we'll get into any of the big games that we missed so far with college football.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, Michigan State, I was a little bit let down. It sounds crazy to think that I'd be frustrated about like a 22-point win.
Yeah.
But they were in control of that game. I want to say it was 21-3 at half. And I'm like, okay, they're going to run away with this game. Like it's easy. And next thing you know, they don't score like the entire third quarter. And now it's 21-10. And I'm like, what are you guys doing? Like, this is Western Michigan. This is not a team you should be kind of playing around with at this point. And then they finally kind of opened it up. And at the end, we had like 2 late touchdowns and they got the cover. But it was one of those games where the whole time I'm sitting there and I'm like, man, this feels like they should be running away with this game. It felt like you should drop 45 points on Western's defense. They were not that good, but it's slow. It's easy. They had some guys get banged up, but I want to see more next week against Akron. Now,
I know
Akron's bad too, but
OU's in a similar spot where they played UTEP this week. They handled them 45-13. Thought they looked really good, especially on defense. They just looked really sound. They played a bit of a soft zone. They were trying not to show anything on film, I think, more than anything. So there were some open completions, but as far as rushing, I think they held them to 28 rushing yards or something like that. And so I'm just like, I kind of want to see more, but at the same time, next week is Kent State, and Kent State didn't look particularly strong against Washington in their game. They're definitely better than Akron probably is this year. I have no idea what they've got going, but Kent State, again, it's not going to be able to tell a lot, but after that is Nebraska. So then we'll really get into it. So,
yeah, we'll see what happens with Nebraska right now. I feel bad because that was a game I was expecting to be a lot more anticipated. It's still going to be anticipated. It's still, going to be an absolutely amazing environment. But I'm kind of I don't know what to expect out of Nebraska right now. I'm kind of shorting on them right now.
Yeah, they had some struggles with their game this weekend. I was just trying to remember who they were even playing. It wasn't the strongest team. Oh, North Dakota. And
Yeah.
at one point, it was tied maybe at the half, 7-7. They ended up pulling away a little bit, towards the end. It ended up being 38-17, which is pretty good. So that's the thing with them though. There's parts of the game where they look amazing, and then there's parts of the game where it's like this team is just a joke. Like
Yeah.
they look so out of place. But
Yep. And I don't know if it comes back down to coaching, but I hope they get it together because I wanted to see Nebraska have a big year this year, and there's still time. There really is.
yeah, there's still time. I want to get into some of the big games that we
Yeah.
saw this weekend because we had some just insane results. I'm trying to pull it up now. We saw Ohio State and Notre Dame. That was kind of the big matchup going in this week. 17-point spread. I was on the Ohio State side.
Yep.
I thought it just took Ohio State a little too long to start clicking. And I know you got to give some credit to Notre Dame and the way they played defensively. Very just safe game plan, kind of. They didn't want to get blown out. You could tell. Just kind of stay close until the fourth quarter, see what happens type game plan for Notre Dame. But I just thought that wouldn't be good enough against this offense from Ohio State. And it looked a little bit fraudulent in week one. But I think there's just so much talent. And obviously the injuries, the guys that they had, that one of the guys didn't even play. And then Smith and Jigba came out, in the first half at some point. So it's tough to say for sure. But I was expecting a lot out of Iowa State right away, or Ohio State, excuse me,
Yep.
right away. But it just took too long to develop, I think. But obviously they've got a whole season ahead of them. They got the job done. They almost found a way to backdoor cover there at the end. But yeah. What did you think about that game?
I've just seen this kind of stuff from Ohio State in the past where it's like sometimes they'll have like a week one or, kind of a drop a dud at some point in those first few non-conference games. But by like week 9 or 10 this season, we're going to be looking at them like, was that a completely different team? Because you're right, once they do get it going, that offense is going to be so electric. And I love, Travion Henderson and Stroud. Didn't feel like Stroud had his best game,
Definitely not. Yeah.
If you get that offense rolling like we know they can, I think that they probably, if you were to play this game back, 9 times out of 10, I do think Ohio State would run away with it. But hey, I got to give Notre Dame credit.
Right.
They showed up.
Yeah, same here. I'm trying not to discredit them because they played well, all things considered. Who knows? Nobody else might not play Ohio State that close. So
yeah,
that's a pretty good result. One result that wasn't good was Oregon and Georgia. We need to get into it because Oregon goes in there and just gets beat 49-3. I mean, that was just such a sound butt kicking that I mean, I don't even know. Like, it's not like a small adjustment to be made. That was just like a mismatch almost. Crazy.
Yeah, I couldn't even. I wish I had like a check point of, man, well, Oregon did this well. They really didn't do much well. I mean, they just were getting, like you said, just kind of grounded into the ground. Like it was a bad game. It was a bad day. It was a sad day.
That's our guy Jersey Jerry would say. Yeah. I was just surprised at how good right out the gates that Georgia looked, because I thought eventually they have the guys, they'll look good eventually, but week one, man, I wasn't expecting this much from them. Like, I mean, obviously wasn't on the other side of this bet by any means. I didn't bet the game at all, but I mean, I kind of agreed with a lot of your points you made on the pod. So I don't, it's just one of those games that just doesn't play out at all like what you might think. So nothing you can really do about it.
It's definitely like, I think they were only down, I'm looking at it, they were down 7-0 after the first quarter, but everything past that, then they ended up getting outscored, 42-3. Like three quarters, the last 3 quarters of the game getting outscored 42-3. That's not going to, that can't happen.
So, yeah, right.
But Georgia might be really solid this year. Maybe I just didn't, give them enough credit last week.
I think I've adjusted Georgia up just a little bit in my rankings. Those may come out the same day that this pod drops, my top 25 for this week. So be on the lookout for that. But one game that did go the way we kind of thought it would is the North Carolina Appalachian State game. My goodness. This game had everything, including 62 points in the fourth quarter. I mean, that's just wild, man. I think the over 56. So each team hit the over pretty easily. And that's exactly how you want to draw it up. So that game was electric.
Yeah,
I don't know.
anytime you bet on an over and it's over 56 and both teams score 60, like
Right.
that's as good as it's gonna get. That was a fun game. I think everybody that watched that game now is like, okay, like I really like this UNC quarterback, Drake May, that we were kind of talking about last
Yeah, you
week.
were
And
talking him up, and he
he's
was the
he's
part. He
nice,
said,
man, for a true freshman. Like
yeah.
I'm kind of buying some UNC stock right
What
now.
one thing I forgot, Beast, and I just heard this today. Drake May was heavily recruited by Alabama. They wanted him. He
Yeah.
went to North Carolina instead because he's a legacy there. His brother played basketball there. I
Mm,
think like his whole family has played sports at UNC. So that's the reason he went to UNC over Bama. So this is not just like some random guy off the street. He's
right.
pretty talented.
Yeah, no, he looks really solid. Like you said, I think that he's going to be somebody to watch out for this year. You know,
Yeah, yeah. Excited to see what UNC does. We're going to be taking more of their overs because that defense
oh
is
yeah,
in
not
shambles.
good. No,
The last game I want to talk about before we get into everything else with this show is the Florida State LSU game. Neutral site, quote unquote. It was in the Superdome in New Orleans, but it seemed like a lot of Florida State fans got there, and Florida State's able to win with just an insane the fourth quarter. They should have ran away with the game, and then they had to block an extra point as time expired just
yeah,
to win. They should have won that game 5 times over. They fumble on the goal line. I think they had 2 muffed punts inside the 10 and came away with 0 points out of those. I'm pretty sure.
yeah.
And so but it was an insane game. Just why we love college football.
Oh yeah, very very fun game. And it was one thing that I kind of don't know if they were talking to Norvell after the game, and he's like, I don't know if we shouldn't have pitched the ball, on the goal line because they
Yeah, yeah.
fumbled. He's like,
Uh-huh.
maybe we shouldn't have called that game play. And I'm like, it's hard to say what's going to happen there, but it's just college kids making mistakes, and
Yep.
that's what makes this sport so fun.
They
And
scored.
that's it.
Yeah, exactly. The randomness that is college football, but they scored on that exact play earlier in the game to
Right.
get where they were. So, and I think he would have walked in had he just caught the freaking pitch. It was not
Hmm.
a great pitch, but it was a worse catch, I think.
Yep.
But insane game. If you haven't, that's a good one to go back and kind of watch the highlights of because it was kind of boring until the fourth quarter, and then just like all hell broke
Yeah,
loose.
pandemonium the last like 3 minutes of that game.
As you guys can see, today's all about the NFL. We're going to be breaking that down with a special guest, and I will introduce him right after this quick ad read. BetCoda Sportsbook is a South Dakota owned and operated sportsbook located in the Midnight Star Casino in Deadwood, South Dakota. As you enter the Midnight Star, you are swept into the past with the grand staircase, stunning woodwork, and the elegance of the chandelier. They offer the best lines in Deadwood, so stop by and mention the Coda Sports Gambling Network to receive a free BetCoda t-shirt. Play responsibly, must be 21 years or older to wager. Gambling problems or concerns, call 1-800-522-4700. Let's get into the special guest that we're going to have today. Now, when he agreed to be on the show, I immediately text Beast and was so pumped because this is our guy. He's been on Not Another CFB pod last season, so those that are listening veterans are going to know this guy. And if you're just follow this excellent character on Twitter, you're going to be really excited to see who we're bringing in. Meerkat. What's going on, Meerkat?
How we doing, fellas? How we doing?
We're feeling great. As you can see, we're about to talk some NFL. We've got a
Yeah.
great Beast was a great handicapper last year in the NFL. I feel like Meerkat was a really good capper in the NFL, but also just he's an all-knowing kind of guy. He knows a lot of these little roster details that you might not know. We're going to get some gems out of him later, his future plays and stuff.
Oh yeah.
But first, guys, I just kind of wanted to open this up. This is a brand new season. We've had a lot of moving pieces. Some rosters are more stacked than they were. Some look a little weaker going in, but we've got some interesting storylines like the Bengals. They get all the way to the Super Bowl last year, but they're not even picked first to win their division this year with a similar team. So it's always chaos in the NFL. Like, it's just insane to me how little those percentage points are. Vegas usually knows. They're calling for a little bit of a down year for the Bengals. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited about the Bengals this year. I kind of disagree with Vegas on that. Maybe I'm just a little bit too bought in on the whole Joe Burrow stock, but that offense should be rolling this year again. I think that it just kind of took Burrow a little bit of time last year to probably find his groove. But I don't know. Maybe it's like the public in me that's just saying, "Oh, go Bengals, go Bengals." But we'll see what happens. But you're right that there are some reasons to kind of doubt the Bengals this year. But hey, they're coming off a Super Bowl. They got to be hungry. They lost.
Yeah, that's where I'm
Yeah.
at. I'm going to open up the floor though. Like, is there any one move that you guys saw in the off season, or maybe as a team that didn't make any moves, they were just confident in what they had, that you guys see having a big season?
If you want to go, Mir.
I would say it's Philly making the move for AJ Brown there.
Yeah.
I'm a big supporter of Jalen Hurts. Really like Jalen Hurts, like what he did in parts of last year. He got that team to the playoffs, though. He's still got some developing to do, but he's the type of guy who gets better as he plays. He's coming into this year with no questions around him. So Devontae Smith, loved what we saw out of him.
Mhm.
Godare, great option there. Now he's the solidified number one. Nothing questioning coming into this season with him. The offensive line is still okay. It's pretty good. So Hurts should be having a good year with somebody like A.J. Brown, who's a super, super quarterback-friendly receiver. Now, I know the Titans replaced with Treylon Burks with the pick that the Eagles gave up to get him. I think they're super similar receivers, but still, you know what you're getting with A.J. Brown. I think that's the move of the offseason because the NFC East, no disrespect to the Cowboys, I think is pretty wide open this year. And I really like Jalen Hurts in this Eagles offense. A.J. Brown is just going to help Jalen Hurts take that next step.
Well, there's also that stat out there. I like my Cowboys this year, but there's also that stat that I think the same team hasn't won like back-to-back division titles since, I couldn't tell you the year, but I want to say it's like the early 2000s. So somebody different wins this thing almost every year. And I like what the Eagles did. They addressed some needs. They went out and got some guys. I'm excited to hear you that are a big Jalen Hurts guy because I actually drafted him in fantasy this year.
Oh, stud.
He was kind of an OU guy, like he came in there and played a year. He's probably more of a Bama guy, but it's always cool to see our guys succeed. And he's on my fantasy team, so I like to hear that. It's a little double dip for me. It sucks because he plays for the Eagles, but hey, like at least I can get like a little silver lining out of it. I don't know.
Yeah, at least if you're gonna have to watch him do good, you're like, well, it's still benefiting me in some way.
I'm trying to profit off of him. Exactly.
You have to, yeah.
That's how it is with Aaron Rodgers every year with me as a Lions fan. It's like I gotta watch this guy just destroy the Lions every year, but it is what it is. But as far as moves that I think the biggest one that stood out to me, and it might be, probably a common take to say, I think this Broncos team with Russell Wilson coming over is going to be a big difference.
Ride.
Yeah, Broncos country. Let's ride. I think that they won 7 games last year with, Teddy Bridgewater in and out. This Drew Lock. It's like, I think that the difference is going to come this year now with Russell Wilson. I think that those receivers are probably just jumping with joy because they've been waiting for a quarterback of this caliber to throw to them. I mean, Sutton's a great receiver. I like Jerry Jeudy a lot. I don't think that he's had as much, success as everybody expected him to out of college, but maybe he just needed the right guy throwing the ball to him. Javonte Williams is great. So that offense is going to be fun, but their defense was really not that bad at times last year. They'd have games where they'd look terrible, but then there'd be games where I'm like, all right, like this Broncos defense actually, they got some dogs. And so we'll see, but I think that they're going to be a player for sure. And we'll see if they could end up making the playoffs and making a run. Russell Wilson's a quarterback that I got a lot of respect for. So I think that that's a major game changer for me.
Yeah, that's a good call. You always got to talk. It's a quarterbacks league, right? Hashtag quarterback league. So, I mean, you got to talk quarterbacks. I'm really interested because I've been kind of down on Russ the last couple of years, but it's also he's been with the Seahawks, who are basically been tanking the last several years. So it's hard to say what he's going to look like when he's motivated on a team that wants to win. It's a very tough division. That's one thing. But yeah, I mean, I think if nothing else, it's going to be very interesting to see that whole transition take place.
Yeah, it's a big change over there. Their coach too, Hackett. We'll see if he can mesh with Russ. So
don't love the Hackett move. Hackett was with the Bills for a bit, and he was just like god awful with us as our offensive coordinator. So I wasn't a fan of him. Then I know he got his love with Aaron Rodgers and stuff, but you don't need to do much offensive coordinating with Aaron Rodgers as your quarterback.
Right.
So. That's the only thing I can see holding like the Broncos back this year is Hackett just being severely underqualified.
Yeah. You guys have brought him up a couple times, Aaron Rodgers. What do we think about the Green Bay Packers this year? Because I looked at their roster, before kind of the preseason, everything got started, before names started to emerge, and it looked like a really weak, wide receiver room. And I think he even came out and had some things to say about his receivers, which I couldn't quote word for word, but I'm interested to hear what you guys think. What's the ceiling for them this year? Because to me, I could see it going. I mean, they could obviously win the division. They win that division a lot. So we know that, but they also, it feels like they could lose it. What do you guys think about the Green Bay Packers?
Yeah,
I still think I still think they're an 11-12 win team at the minimum with Aaron Rodgers at the helm. When he was like criticizing his receivers, he was criticizing the young guys they have. They drafted Christian Watson in the early second round. They drafted Greg Dobbs like fourth or fifth round as well. And then Amari Rodgers, he criticized all of them, saying pretty much they're dog shit. And I like them as prospects, but Rodgers is not meshing with them. I think we're going to see like Randall Cobb see 100 targets this year, which is going to be absurd. But he's still got guys. I really like Alan Lazard this year for him. So that defense is stout enough. It's not like the flashiest defense, the best on paper, but it's a good defense. It's a middle of the pack defense, so it's a defense where an offense with Aaron Rodgers can carry them to the division.
Oh yeah, no, I'm with you the same way, and I wish that I wasn't, because a lot of people talk about, they're excited about the Lions this year. I kind of think that Green Bay is going to run away with the NFC North this year, and I think everybody else between the Vikings, Lions, the Bears are going to kind of just be battling with each other, knocking each other off. I take a game here, you take a game there, and Green Bay just kind of coasts to it. Like you said, I could see them winning 11 or 12 games, just because Aaron Rodgers is one of those quarterbacks that I don't really care who you put at receiver. He can make them, look better. Yeah. Yes, Devontae Adams is a big loss, but similar to how Tom Brady used to make guys like Danny Amendola look really good, I think Aaron Rodgers has that same effect. I mean, Sammy Watkins is over there too, so they have enough pieces where I think he can actually do just fine. And you're right, that defense is going to be best in the NFC North, one of the best in the NFC, I think. So.
Yeah, that they're an interesting team. We got to get into some AFC storylines too, especially since we got Meerkat here. I want to talk about the AFC East. That's really interesting to me. A lot of people are, they're big on the Dolphins this year. Dolphins made some changes, made some coaching staff changes. We can talk about that. I love the Bills in this, obviously, and then they're the big favorite for a reason. Is there anybody that can come up? It could be the Patriots and cause this Bills team to stumble and somehow come away with this division.
The only thing that scares me is any of these three young quarterbacks outside of Josh Allen in the division taking a Josh Allen-esque step forward, whether it's Mac Jones, Tua, or Zach Wilson there. All of them have the tools to potentially, be a threat. But until I see it, I'm not that afraid. But this could be the year one of them takes that step. I mean, Mac made the playoffs, obviously, last year. Not the biggest fan of what's going on in the Patriots offensive coaching room and, some of the signings they've made.
Was it, Joe Judge, and who else is calling plays for them this year?
Judge and Patricia.
Patricia's the other one. Yeah.
And it's just a shit show. It makes no sense. So we're going to see how that goes for Mac Jones's development. I still believe in Tua for some reason as an unbiased fan. He's got every weapon to, take that next step this year. So they're probably the scariest threat right now because their coach is a wackadoo, and I kind of like wackadoo coaches. They can be scary in the NFL. The Jets, bottom of the totem pole for me, but still a team with a lot of young weapons.
Yeah. You're right. And I think you said it perfectly when you said, who is it going to be that takes that Josh Allen-esque step? Because Josh Allen, first, was it his second year when he really stepped forward, or was that his third year? Because I was thinking
second year he started making first year he was like dog shit. Second year he started doing things that were making us want to believe in him. Like he hurdled Anthony Barr in that one Vikings game, and we upset the Vikings when we were massive underdogs. He did things like that. But then, first playoff performance, we lose 9-3 to the Texans in the wild card game. Allen didn't do much, and it was that real step after that. That's when he, boom, Josh Allen is now an all-pro quarterback.
Yeah, my team that I would say I would watch out for in that division, is just as like you said with Miami. I think that if Tua can take that next step, suddenly that Miami becomes a very dangerous team. Their defense, we already know, has shown a lot of flashes that they can really, hold their side of the end up. But I think that they added a lot of offensive line help too. I want to say they picked up like 2 guys in the offseason as far as to try to protect Tua a little bit more. Hey, Tua's got the tools around him now. Tyreek's there. I mean, this is his best opportunity I think he's had going into a season. Maybe we can see it if he can take that step. I don't know if they're gonna, somehow overcome the Bills, but I think that they could be maybe a wild card team.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but it's pretty consensus then that you guys think Dolphins ahead of the Patriots though.
Yeah, I think
Is that
so.
what I'm getting? Just
Yeah.
because, and I think I agree. We already kind of went over their weird offensive coordinator / play caller situation, which is that's the thing with the NFL. I just got to riff on this for a minute. It's crazy to me that these guys can keep getting these jobs because it's like their resume is so good but it's like if you go into it, they were not great at every stop they had. So like, but I get it. You want a guy that gets in there. He understands the locker room. You don't want to just hire some bum like me off the street. So you got it. I get it. That's part of the job.
I mean, I think Matt Patricia is a bonehead because of everything he did in Detroit. He felt like he was the smartest guy in the room. I just think he didn't have the knowledge that he thought he had. We had to hear the whole, he was a rocket scientist and this and that. And it's like, dude, he's not nearly as smart as they wanted to make him, seem, and he could not coach. So
I was going to say, I feel like if you just watch him for a little bit, you'll know that narrative was never going to work out very well for them. That's great. Any final things you guys want to wrap up with before we move on? We're going to talk about some of our favorite futures and then get into this Thursday night game that's going to be awesome with the Bills and the Rams.
I can't wait to get into these futures.
Yeah, let's go.
Futures are a lot of fun. The NFL season getting underway. It's going to be a great year. I think each of us have prepared 3 or 4 of these kind of our favorite futures that have fallen down. And so I can't wait to hear from you guys. I guess we'll start with Mir and then we'll go to Beast and we'll come around to me.
All right. I picked my 3 favorite for this show. So here we go. Number 1, I absolutely love this. It's this. I was quoted calling this. I hate using terminology like this. I was quoted calling it a nuclear hammerlock. It's Rashad Bateman over 825.5 receiving yards this year. He missed the first 5 games of his rookie year, but he still found ways to get involved as the 4th, target in that offense as a rookie. Now he enters the year as the clear number 1 receiver, clear number 2 target behind Andrews, and he looked good last year, even though, he was limited. He had 3 80-plus yard performances, at least 4 targets in 10 of his 12 games. He had great hands. He's super quarterback friendly. He can adjust his routes when he's like running them, which is great for a quarterback like Lamar. And he does it all with the ball in his hands. He's productive when he gets it in his hands, and he'll catch the ball most of the time. And they lost 195 targets with Hollywood Brown and Sammy Watkins leaving, and I don't think they're going to Devin Duvernay.
All right. That's the perfect way to kick this off. Is just this is a player, a season total for a player. That's exactly what we want. Beast, what do you got?
I'm going to go right into, I have a player one coming up soon too, but I'm going to go right into, I'm high on the San Francisco 49ers this year. I think some books it's 9.5 for their win total, but I would go with 10 just because that 9.5 number is like minus 160. I'm not going to give out a play that's that juice, but I'm going to say over 10 wins. I just think a lot of this has to do with that defense. I mean, we'll get to the offense here, but they were 3rd in total defense last year. They're returning a ton of really, really solid guys. I was big on Bosa. I thought, he was the man. I want to say he had 15.5 sacks last year. So they're bringing all kinds of pressure. They got a solid secondary, returning some guys. So I'm excited for that defense. But also, you got to be a little bit fired up for what Trey Lance is going to bring this year. If you're somebody that believes in him, which I do, I think Trey Lance is ready to take that, next step between the dual threat ability that he has. And also Elijah Mitchell at running back. We're going to have Deebo Samuel back. This is a team that they're probably not the prettiest, 10-win team, but I think that they're going to find a way to get 10 wins because they'll play the Seahawks twice. They're going to play the Bears. They're going to play the Washington football team. They're going to play the Falcons. They'll play the Panthers. That's like 6 wins I just named off right there that I just
Yeah.
doubt that they're going to lose. And I could see them beating the Cardinals or the Rams when you get them in San Francisco. It's just I don't see a way that they don't scratch out at least 10 wins to push that bet. But I think they're going to be an 11-win team. I'm really high on San Francisco. They might win that division, frankly, in my opinion.
Love it.
Yeah.
I like that. That's always fun. The NFC West is going to be so much fun to watch this year.
Oh, yeah.
Because the Rams, I'll go into my first pick, and that's the Rams to win the Super Bowl plus 1,100.
Okay.
They made some moves this offseason. The fans are finally starting to fill up SoFi Stadium, and it's getting to that point where it's not like a pseudo home game for whoever just plays there. I can remember the Cowboys playing there in the inaugural season of that stadium, and it was just a home game for us. It was just in a different stadium. It's really starting to get, I think they're starting to win that city over, which, I mean, you won a championship, you kind of earn some fans, I would think, over there. We'll see if they show out, but I like some of the moves they made. I honestly kind of like that they didn't re-sign OBJ right off the jump. I like OBJ, but I think probably what he's asking for at this stage in his career, especially coming off an injury, I don't know what the numbers are. Maybe, I'm just making this up, but I assume he's asking for more money than most teams want to give him. So I don't mind them not making that move. They do lose Von Miller, which does hurt because he had a big year last year on defense. Went to the Bills. I like the Bills. That's a little spoiler. But I just think Rams to repeat, it's too big of a number. It's a very loaded roster still. The biggest concern to me is Matt Stafford. He's got that weird injury with his elbow. Is that kind of overstated, or is that a real concern? I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
Hard to bet against the team that just won the Super Bowl there.
Yeah, so, if you want to go ahead, Mir, yeah.
I had another player prop, but I'm gonna break it up with my team total. I'm going with Houston Texans over 4.5 wins here.
All right.
I kind of like what the Texans have been doing. I think they're, coming out on the other side of the tunnel from, tanking, the rebuild. This is when they're finally going to start seeing, the tank come to fruition a bit. It's hard to lose 12 plus games in the NFL. You have to tank to do so, and the Texans aren't doing that anymore. 4.5 is a crazy low number to me. Davis Mills, I'm a fan of. He low-key probably was the best rookie quarterback down the stretch last year. Everybody just thinks about, making fun of his long neck and the absolute terrible performance against the Bills on national TV. It's just like, he's got a good offense to grow up with. I really like Nico Collins at receiver, who was a rookie last year out of Michigan. A little biased there, but he looked great. Brevin Jordan, rookie tight end out of Miami last year, looked great when he came on end of the last year. Now the starter. Everybody loves Pierce. He's now the clear-cut number one heading into this year as a rookie. So it's a nice, fun, young offense with some veterans in there, like the most underrated player in the NFL and Brandon Cooks to help them lead the way. Lovie Smith in the house, the most player-friendly coach you can get, a guy you want to root for. No more Bill O'Brien stink on that team. So I'm excited to see what they could potentially do this year. AFC South, too, I don't think it's as strong as people are making it out to be. Yeah. I do like the Jaguars to obviously make a little step, but I'm not huge on the Titans this year, and the Colts are going to be a solid team, but again, not huge on them. If the Texans can steal 2 wins in their division, I think they can easily get to 5 or 6.
Yeah, I like that play a lot. I feel like 5 wins is not a lot for what you said. Like, Davis Mills brings a lot to the table, and I'm super high on Brandon Cook. So I loved hearing you say, underappreciated guy for sure.
And they made some big moves on defense, obviously drafting Derek Stingley Jr. to add to a good secondary. They signed my boy, who's been a captain for the Bills for the past 8 years, Jerry Hughes. They made some good moves to, help shore it up a bit. I think they're a sneaky, make some noise team.
Yeah. I'll go to a player prop I got, and this is going to be ugly. You guys got to just preface it. I got to throw in, it's not a ton of bias. It really is just that I believe that Jared Goff is going to throw over 23.5 passing touchdowns this year, which really is not that much when you think of now we have the 17-game season. 1 extra game. I know I'm selling you guys on a quarterback that's looked at as very mediocre, but that Lions offensive line is going to be stacked. I mean, they got Ragnow is a top 5 center in the league. You're getting Penei Sewell back for year 2 after a pretty good rookie year. Taylor Decker brings a lot to the table. Jonah Jackson made a Pro Bowl last year at guard. So this is going to be a nice Lions offensive line. He should have plenty of time to throw. And he has Amon-Ra St. Brown, who everybody loved last year. He's got TJ Hawkinson. Jameson Williams will be there soon. I know he's coming off the ACL. DJ Chark is going to be your wide receiver 3 once Jameson Williams is in town. DeAndre Swift can catch passes. This offensive coordinator that they brought in, Ben Johnson, apparently has a great connection with Goff. You could hear it, on Hard Knocks. Amon-Ra St. Brown at one point is like yelling over the hot mic to Ben Johnson. Oh my God, Ben, you're a genius. You're a genius. So they're loving everything that's coming this way in the pass game. I mean, last year, the last 5 weeks of the season, people forgot Goff threw 11 touchdowns to 2 picks the last 5 weeks of the season. And that was all after Anthony Lynn was gone. Once you got rid of Anthony Lynn, suddenly that Lions offense was actually a little bit better than people realized. So the Lions might not be people are saying over 6.5 wins. I'm not dabbling with that, but I do think Goff actually can find a way. 24 touchdowns is not actually that much. It's just not.
I think the offense is going to look good. I'm excited to bet some Lions overs this year because I think that's going to be their problem is defense. I don't think they're going to lose many games because their offense couldn't score enough. I really think that they've got some things figured out. I just wonder if the defense comes around in time. So I like that pick.
Give me in some shootouts. If they're playing from down touchdowns, give me a couple of garbage time touchdowns, man.
I am high on the Lions this year. Get me a healthy Jeff Okudah finally to help, shore up that secondary. We have seen him play one NFL game in 2 years. I loved him coming out, and you will not find somebody who is higher on DeAndre Swift and Amon-Ra St. Brown than me. So
there you go, man.
It's going to be hard for Goff not to throw 24 plus touchdowns with that offense.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be good. I'm going to, like I said, I'm going to be riding some Lions overs this year because that seems a lot of fun. One other beast that I'm riding, though, is Josh Allen to win MVP plus 700. I think he's like the favorite, but I have to do it. First of all, and most importantly, I just like watching him play. Okay. He's got that dog in him. We've talked about it multiple times, but the guy's got weapons. The guy's on a great team. They're going to win a bunch of games. And that's sort of the formula for a quarterback to win the MVP. He's going to have the stats. His team's going to be up in the standings. He's going to be right there. He's a fan favorite, kind of becoming a face of the league, in my opinion. And before our eyes, kind of taking a little bit more love than Mahomes now. Because it's kind of, I don't know if Mahomes has just been on top too long and people are tired of him. Maybe it's his brother, whatever it is. I think that Josh Allen's going to get some MVP votes this year, and I want to be a part of it. Josh Allen to win MVP.
I like that a lot. I mean, I know Meerkat likes it because that's how
I'm invested in it myself. Yeah.
No, I think Josh Allen, you're right. Even if he is the favorite, he just is so talented and he brings so much to the table with his running ability too that he could find you all kinds of ways to get that MVP award this year, really. So
absolutely. You got one more for us, Mir?
Yeah, I got one more, and this number pisses me off. This is why I'm all over it. And no offense, PG. I hate the Cowboys, so it takes a lot for me to hype up this pick. But Ezekiel Elliott over 800.5 rushing yards this year. That number is flat out disrespectful. So disrespectful. When my buddy was at work, shouting out lines to me, I was guessing a lot of them within like 50 yards or so. He goes, all right, what's Zeke's over under? I'm like, 950? He goes 800. I'm like, what the fuck? I was like, what is going on here? But we've heard the Pollard hype for 3 years now. It's been, Pollard's going to take over. Pollard's more productive on his touches, yada, yada. It's been building up the past few years. Still hasn't come to fruition. Zeke has still produced, only going over under 1,000 yards twice in 6 seasons. Those were 979 and 985, which was in a 10-game season. It's last year. Everyone's like Zeke was busted last year. He had a bust season, a bust in fantasy. He had 1,000 yards and 10 touchdowns. That's not a bust to me. So to have his line at 800, he's not getting $18 million this year and not touch the ball 225 times out of that backfield. That's more than enough if he matches his career worst yards per carry. That was 4 yards per game to break this 800. I don't not it's not that I don't not like Tony Pollard. He's a good backup running back. I think maybe as a starter, he could be really good. But Ezekiel is the guy. He's the guy getting paid. He's the guy who's consistently produced. This number is ridiculous to me.
Yeah, and I'm with you on that. I wrote it down. I'm going to take it myself. Here's the thing: Pollard is really electric when he's in there, but would he be if he was getting all the carries that Zeke's getting? Because Zeke's smashing it up the middle, on those 3rd and 1s. That's not Pollard. So he wouldn't last long doing that. So you're going to get Zeke in those situations, and he's always liable to break one of those for 60-yard touchdown at any given time. And you made a lot of great points. I think it's a speculative number based on people thinking that Pollard's going to get more and more carries, but that hasn't been the case so far. They've been together for years now. When's it going to happen? It's probably not. You're right. He's paid too much money to just sit on the sidelines and watch Pollard. So I like that. What are you thinking, Beast?
No, that's a great play. I like that one a lot. I'm going to go to this is my value play out of my 3, and it's it's a bold play just because it's going to be tough, but I could see them doing it, and that is the Saints to win the NFC South at plus 310.
Okay.
We're scared because it's Tom Brady and the Buccaneers in that division, and everybody's expecting that they're going to win it. But I like the Saints team a lot. I think their defense is obviously going to be really nice. But Jameis Winston last year, they were 5-2 in his starts, and they won 9 games last year, even though they had Trevor Siemian and Ian Book coming in doing these spot starts. This was still a team that won 9 games with Jameis Winston only putting 7 games worth of time in, and I think that you're getting Kamara. I don't think he's going to be suspended. Please don't suspend him if I'm going to take this bet. But Michael Thomas is going to be back. Now we got Chris Olave over there. A lot of people excited about Olave this year. I think that there's a lot of question marks right now with Tampa Bay. How is Bowles going to do as coach? Tom Brady, is having these things where in the offseason we don't know where he's at. I'm not super worried about Brady, but there is a lot of discussions about things going on down in Tampa Bay. Do we get a little bit of regression where this becomes like a very 50-50 right down to the wire, last 2 games of the season decide who wins the conference kind of thing? Maybe. And I think the Saints defense is enough that I'm going to take a shot at plus 310. Why not? Value is there for me. I'll take it all day.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Seahawks is one of those, the Saints rather, are one of those teams that people have just kind of moved too far off of. They have some great pieces. They kind of fell apart, with everything going on, but this is their chance to get back. A lot of people, there's been some great reports about what Jameis looks like in camp, and Michael Thomas being back, man, people forget how good he is.
Right.
So I don't hate that.
Yep.
I am doing a win total under for my final pick.
Ooh.
I'm going Seattle Seahawks under 5.5. I believe it's a plus money even. And here's the thing. It's a quarterback league, right? I like Geno Smith okay, but their options are him or Drew Lock, and that's it. And they've got a decent wide receiver core. At least their 1 and 2 is really strong. The offensive line, and then the defense, and they have to play in the AFC or the NFC West, which is just it's stacked too. Especially, I'm a little bit higher on the Cardinals this year than most. I think you're going to get a motivated Kyler this year, and they got to play them twice. That's going to be a tough matchup. It's under 5.5, so it's a little bit higher than those 4.5s. That's a little scary, like Mir said. But I think this is a team that could be kind of tanking down the line, looking at, oh shoot, we got a chance to get number 1 overall pick, which is going to be, I guess, either Bryce Young or CJ Stroud, one of those guys, Will Anderson. Probably. I mean, there's the top of this draft is going to be loaded. So I could really see them tanking late in the year if they get down, and they play in a tough conference or a division rather. And so I'm going to go with Seattle Seahawks under 5.5.
Well, like I said when I was talking earlier, a team has to try to lose 12 plus games in the NFL, and signing Geno Smith, to a contract to be your starter to compete with Drew Lock, that is trying to lose games in the NFL. They're tanking. Yeah, I like that.
That's good. That's good. So before we wrap up the show, let's go through and talk about this Bills-Rams game. I think the line, let me pull up all the numbers. The line, I think, is 2.5?
2.5.
2.5, over under 52.5 to 52. You can get either number. I thought we'd go around and kind of break down the game a little bit, and then we can give our picks. Yeah. Mir, why don't we start with you since you're kind of the local Bills guy?
So the Bills are the NFL's best roster, top to bottom. They just are. I really think if the Bills played the Rams last year in the Super Bowl, the Bills beat the Rams in that Super Bowl. They were just a better matchup. The Bills, with how Josh Allen was playing in the playoffs, he got beat by a coin toss. The dude had 9 touchdowns to 0 interceptions in 2 games in the playoffs this year, last season. Absolutely absurd. Now, the Rams didn't get much better. They lost some big players. They made some good moves, but they didn't get much better. You have questions from Matthew Stafford. What do the Bills do? Lost nobody that mattered to them, and they signed guys like Von Miller to just be an absolute presence and leader on this team. A guy like Roger Saffold, a really under-the-radar move, a very, very good offensive lineman to shore up our line. And we do great in the draft. We draft Khair Elam, who's looked great in the first round. We draft James Cook, who I think is going to be the Bills' number 1 back by the end of this season. Really excited for what he can do coming out of Georgia there. And our offense is stacked just all around. Defense is stacked every bit where we don't have Trey White back for probably the first month or 2 of the season, which is tough. But if we can get through that stretch, I mean, the Bills are going to be a favorite in every single game this year. It makes sense. They're favorites on the road against the defending Super Bowl champions.
Yep.
That's a great play. No, I mean, that's a really good look as far as with the Bills just this year. I'm so in agreement with you in the sense that I think if they make that Super Bowl last year, it was their year. And talent-wise, they're bringing back so much, and they actually are better. I think this could be the year that Josh Allen takes them to the promised land. I don't want to get too much hopes up. We're kind of getting Mir's like, hey, don't get me going too much.
No, I'm there already.
But no, I'm with you, man. I think that this is going to be a fun game too. What a better game to lead off than, because really, like you said, this probably should have been the matchup, that we saw in the Super Bowl.
It's a great way to kick off the season. And you guys know I love watching games in SoFi Stadium. I was trying to find a way to play an over on this game. I'm not sure yet where I'm going with that total wise, because both these teams have pretty good defenses. But like Mir pointed out, there's a lot of question marks that are with this Rams roster, especially early on in the season. We'll have to just see what the elbow looks like for Matt Stafford. That's a big question mark for me. It's that I wanted to fade the public here and just take, just do the fade the public play and go with the Rams. But there's so many question marks I go over this roster. And then you look at a motivated Bills team that gets a chance to go into the Super Bowl winning team's home stadium to kick off the season with everybody watching, come in there and kick their butts. So with that said, I guess I'll go Bills -2.5 for my play. I can't not do it. That's the majority of the people are on it. But the thing that gives me a little confidence is a majority of the money, like an extra amount versus the percentages. I've butchered this, but basically there's a lot of money on the Bills, and you can always determine.
It's not just public money.
It's not just public money.
Yeah.
So I'm going Bills 2.5.
I absolutely love that,
that's
PG.
great.
Yeah, I'm on Bills -2.5, and I don't love parlay fodder. I usually don't take bets over -125 straight up, but -136 on the money line. I'm going to hammer that for insurance. I don't see the Bills losing this game. This might be more of like a home game for the Bills than anything because the Rams fans already aren't much of a presence, and Bills Mafia is traveling like crazy. We take over cities every year the past few years, every time on the road. This is going to be a big one. You're going to see a lot of Bills jerseys. Josh Allen's the biggest thing that scares me in the Rams defense is, Aaron Donald, which our offensive line is solid. So I don't think, and Josh is so evasive, I'm not too worried. He's already shut up Jalen Ramsey in his career. I think we have so much of sheer firepower on offense to wreak havoc on them, despite the talent they do have on defense. Now, I do kind of like the over in this, PG, because it's 2 great defenses. But I brought it up, Trey White still being out, we're still susceptible in these first few weeks to, good quarterbacks with good passing attacks. And if Stafford's healthy, the Rams are still going to score points. I'm not expecting a Bills blowout or anything, but I could see this being a high scoring game.
Yeah. I like that. I had a thing last season. I said pretty much any game I'm going to be watching, and it's SoFi Stadium, I'm taking the over. The thing's a crazy spaceship. There's that weird halo thing they always love to show with the screens on it. But it's something. It's a fast turf. It's a fast surface. I mean, it just lends itself well to these stud athletes.
Yeah, it is, and it makes me nervous because I'm taking the under in this one, but I'm taking the first half under, I guess. So it makes me feel a little bit better because you never know. Maybe they turn things up in the second half, but I just think that these teams kind of come out a little bit slow in week one.
Mm-hmm.
Not to say that they'd be that rusty, but both teams have pretty decent defenses. I know the Rams did lose some pieces, but they were still like a top 3 defense and, total defense last year. The Bills, added a bunch of pieces now, and their defense should be better than what it was last year. I think Stafford's not 100% healthy. I do think that there really is something to be said about, these elbow issues. And he was even having, these weird banged up injuries in Detroit that people just didn't always, see. And they might not cover that always 100%. But he always has like these back things going on in his elbow. But this elbow kind of sounds like it's a little bit more serious. So I'm going to take first half under 26.5. But a bonus play I have with that is I saw it. I'm not sure what it's on every book, but Stafford to throw over 0.5 interceptions at minus 125. People forget he led the league in interceptions last year. Like this guy is as good as he was in the Super Bowl through 2 interceptions. So I'm going to say minus 125 is what I saw it at this morning. That's a good little bonus play to throw on there,
Yeah.
I'm playing that.
Playing that. I like that a lot.
You talked me into it. I love it. And I honestly, I can see exactly what you're saying with that first half under. I know me and Mir were just talking about that over, but you make some good points. It may be, these heavyweight, quote unquote heavyweight teams that are just Super Bowl aspirations. They're going to take some time, fill each other out a little bit. Then that second half is when they make adjustments, score a bunch of points. So I think we could middle that all day. We may just try for it, but
no, I like it. Bills started slow a lot last year. Big third, fourth quarter team for sure.
Yeah, right on. Well, hey, we're excited. The NFL's here. Want to give another big shout out to our guy Meerkat. Want to give him an opportunity to kind of plug. He's in a ton of cool stuff with Trainwreck Sports and a bunch of other cool stuff. So want to give him an opportunity and a shout out for coming on. And yeah, let people know where they can find all your cool stuff, man.
So with Trainwreck, I'm going to be doing every Wednesday just a little NFL gambling show. Find that at Degenerate Zone on Twitter. You can find me at work. I do a daily show at DA Card World on YouTube. Just a little news show, but I'm on a show called The Chase, which is live every Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 9 a.m. on DA Card World Twitch. And you can find me usually dropping on Wednesdays on Rick and Fab No Ball podcast.
Yeah, he's a busy man, folks. So
yeah, make
really
sure to follow him on Twitter too, guys. He's always putting out great content. It's
That's
always
the easiest
gonna be good.
place to. Yeah, I was gonna say at Meerkat on Twitter.
Thank you.
This is our guy, and we're so lucky to have you on. And it's gonna be a great NFL season. Yeah, it's gonna be a great NFL season. All I gotta say, since we're on Bills minus 2.5. Go Bills. It's going to be a great game.
Go Bills.
And look forward for the next Not Another CFB pod. It'll be dropping next Friday. So we'll be recording during that Thursday night game. So if we get excited for the Rams or the over, whatever we're on, it's going to be a good time. So thanks for coming on, and we'll catch you guys next time. Peace.
Yep.